Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Hello, hello, hello. It is Sunday night and it's time. Where's the camera? There it is. It's time for a bit more nonsense from me. I hope you are all safe and well. I'm just looking over at the chat to say hello to everyone. I can see Neil was here first. Good evening, Neil. I hope you are well. Let me just re-angle this monitor because I can't. That one wasn't quite where I thought it would be. I can see a bit better now. So we've got Neil, we've got One Willie FPV. Hello, AVA Physics. How are you? I've seen this in some chat on new HDZero cameras. I don't actually think I can talk about that technically yet. However, I will start the stream on that in a minute anyway, because the reviews have gone up and come back down. Tomorrow is when we will talk about that properly. I hope everyone is safe and well. Now, tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, there is finally official firmware for the Goggles X, and we're just going to talk a bit about what that has done. But I'm also going to give you a tutorial on how to calibrate the proximity sensor, because I don't think people know how to do this, and my intention is to actually record this live and then cut that off into a separate video, because I'm going to be too lazy to actually write a separate video and record it. So I'm going to try and do it all live. We're going to talk a bit about Crossfire protocol, or CRSF in specifically, which is the protocol between the radio and the modules, because that is taking very slow steps to becoming somewhat open source. We're going to talk about this, which is now available, the AOS 5 version 5. I actually have my video on this. Well, it's not going to be tomorrow because that's HDZero, but it'll be in the week, and it's a part 1 of 2 video because I got to finish building it. I got to put a flight controller in it. As you can see, there isn't, and then I got to take it for a flight. But there is going to be a part 1 coming on this frame. And we're going to talk about Drone Authority is back in the UK, and they are now under new ownership by a company who is very dear to me on this channel, and we're going to talk about that and anything else we come across along the way as well. And as always, we will answer any questions that you may have as we move through. Now, it has been an interesting week. I spent a lot of this week traveling, but we have finally had some things happen in the Avatar HD world, which is good to see, but not everything is perfect. Looking around online, I've seen some interesting stuff this week alongside that. Bunches of people getting the new flight controllers that were on sale with this new Clone F4, which isn't fully supported in beta flight yet. That's caused some problems. There's been some interesting chatter on my Discord server about the Helion. I'm not sure how we pronounce it, actually, by iFlight and a partnership between iFlight and a couple of others. And that's certainly a drone that seems to be getting some press, good and bad. I think it's an interesting looking product, but it does seem to have some issues here and there, and there's a bit to talk about on that too. Now, I'm just really padding a little bit to let people come in at the start of the stream, as it always is. 121 of you already. Wow, that is incredible. Wow, I'm impressed with that. Helios. Yeah, I was struggling. Was it Helion, like Helios? Yeah. Helios, Helion. I'm not sure, AVI, either how it's pronounced. And I can't be bothered to listen to someone talk about it to get it right. Someone has said, iFlight shipping issues. Yeah, there has been. I think there's all sorts of issues. But it's a very interesting drone, 10-inch drone nonetheless. But I think, frankly, speaking completely brutally honestly, some of the marketing around that drone is complete and utter nonsense, and I think could be much better. Is there a way to get VTX temp like on HDZero and Avatar HD? Yes, if you run it with the display showing the overlay. If you set the display to 10% zoom, you'll have all of the information, but that isn't any use to you in flight. They could absolutely add that to the MSP data stream. It is there. Helion, is it? There we go, John. Thanks, John Goblin. Is the Radio Master Ranger module worth it currently, or is there a new one? Are you talking about the micro or the nano or the full size? Because I'm on the fence on the nano, and the only reason I say this is that Beta FPV Gemini module is phenomenal, but it is a nano module, not a micro, sorry. So it's not a JR module, it's a nano. And that, look, I'll be honest, I'm having a hard time not recommending that to people. It is a phenomenal piece of kit. If you're talking about full size, absolutely, the Ranger is well worth a look. We'll do up to 2 watts of RF output as well. But at least Helion will always come back. Always, yes. Radio Master Gemini, there is a path for that today. There is a new dual receiver from Radio Master, which is the RP4T. I have it in hand. I'll be having a look. So there is a path to that, but we don't have any Gemini transmitters at this time. But just remember, Gemini isn't for everyone. And it does come with quite a payoff, which is power usage. And remember, Gemini is not about long range. If you want to learn more about Gemini, go watch my video on it. I'm actually really proud of that video. That is one. I had some amazing comments from the Express LRS dev team on that video, and genuinely, they blew me away. When you've got the dev team telling you they liked it, you know you're not far off. At that point, you know, now and again you get something right, and that video I think I did a very, very good job on. Not about showing it, but just about ticking all the boxes. Jumper T20 has Gemini. This one, you mean? Yes, there is a Gemini version of the T20 that arrived this week. I've basically had a very quick look in the sense of I've opened the box. If you want a 10-second review of this radio, it has all of the same problems as the original radio, all of the same benefits as the original radio, just now with Gemini. What hasn't changed is the T20 itself. And I think what's a little disappointing is that they couldn't have addressed a couple of the quirks that I mentioned in my review on it. The top corner buttons are just horrible. I do have it here, but yeah. It's... Look, Gemini isn't for everyone. Just remember that. Gemini is not a magic solution to get loads of range. Gemini is a specific feature for specific circumstances. I wouldn't be running out and getting Gemini. What I would say is, though, that Gemini Beta FPV Nano TX is a phenomenal Express LRS TX, and it has Gemini. That's the benefit. Remember, with Gemini, twice the power usage of normal Express LRS, so you've got to take that into account. Remember, twice the radio, twice the power usage. There are payoffs to be had. They didn't fix the top button so you can't feel the central indent. Basically, it's the same radio. I think I shorted my FC by leftover flux on a soldering iron. It usually wouldn't short, but it can burn. Flux wouldn't usually short. It would be very, very unusual. I have seen flux burn and sort of smoke a little bit if you have got it near a hot spot, but it wouldn't usually short. Intrigued of shorting flux. Evening, Governor. Carl B, how are you? How are you? How are you? Okay, so time to get on with tonight's stream. So the first thing we will talk about is the inevitable, and actually, no, we're going to talk about Crossfire first. We're going to talk about the Crossfire CRSF protocol. Now, if you don't know, the Crossfire protocol isn't actually open source. It's created by TBS. It's been reverse engineered left, right, and center by everyone. But what there isn't is a published specification for it in the world. There's nothing out there that says you should do this or that to conform and make it work. Now, everyone has sort of figured out how it works, but there still isn't a full published spec that anyone can use. Now, there has been requests on this by the Express LRS dev team. That is the wrong window. Let me just adjust that, turn that one off. There we go. And there was a TBS FPV Freedom TX what's the term? Issue raised, ticket, pull request, added on the 6th of February by Jay from Express LRS dev team. Rabbit Ambulance has commented on that, a big member of pretty much every Discord you'll find. And Wes Varty and lots of other people have commented on this, including Trappy himself. He said his exact words when this was brought up was, I'm down. Blue Jay commented on it, the guys behind Blue Jay. And I'm down. We're open to functionality as well as define some rules around how it must work. Predominantly revolving around frames should be structured, leaving the ecosystem and entering another. Trappy went on to say he was incredibly stretched at the time, but it would get done. But he did say, give me some time. Now, this has sort of rattled on for a very long time. Hydra has commented on it. And there's been all sorts of comments going all the way down. And really, if we get all the way down to sort of recently, September, we're getting closer. Some fine-tuning in the documents and we're done. There's been comments a few weeks ago by Trappy. And it has taken some time because it keeps going, as you can see. And in fact, Raphael has said that he has created starting a draft. And as you can see, Powell has commented on it this afternoon as well. I'm all aboard for extending the Crossfire specification and practically converting it to an open standard. iNav will have no problems adapting it. However, he's saying the new extended protocol should not be called CRSF. The reason is quite simply the name is too tightly coupled with TBS, and as a brand, Crossfire, this opens up all sorts of questions about the right name and protocol itself. I'm not really convinced over the naming of CRSF. However, what we have is a page now with a working specification, with a license and a README file. So what we have today is a license and a README file, and that is about it. But it is getting much, much closer to be a somewhat open standard. However, as you can see, the politics around this are far from over, because not only obviously have you got TBS, We've also got people who are going to be questioning the naming, like Powerville has, and he's quite right in that fact. He's not wrong. But this is going to be something that's going to burn on and on and on for some time. But it is taking a very small step into moving forward, and hopefully we might actually get somewhere with it this time. Now, it isn't a big story, but it is interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how this develops over time, because, look, regardless, there will always be politics at play on these things. Express CRS protocol, good name, bad for life. Good evening, Gary. Does this mean Express ELRS could work on TBS receivers in the future? No. So, Andy, this is about the protocol that is used by the radio to communicate with the module, not the protocol from the module to the receiver. This is the radio to the module. So when you put your module in and you choose CRSF, that bit there. Now, the current protocol was largely used by TBS on their modules internally and externally, and Express ELRS adopted that, as did a few others. So it won't change interchangeability. It just means the radio to module, RX to FC. Those two areas there, as AVI has said. So it's used by everyone on both sides, but somewhat unofficially is the right term to use. So that's where that is. It'll be interesting to see how it gets on. Now, the next big subject, the next big one is obviously the big firmware update this week for these, and that is the Goggles X. Let me just unplug the HDMI cable. Bye-bye, HDMI cable. Finally, Cadex released the firmware for this. If we go back to the desktop, this is the firmware which allows it to fully work with the receivers, the transmitters. Everything has been released in one, which is version 36.42.4 beta. Now, this is a massive update, and I put a video out on this today, so I'm not going to talk about the update itself too much, although I did miss something specifically in that video, and something I did miss was I went over the issues and everything about updating your goggles, because there is two versions of this firmware. There is the version with the kernel update, which adds exFAT, which updates the Linux OS, and then there's the version without, but that also applies to the VTXs as well. And you should be very careful when updating your VTXs to make sure they don't overheat, because the same thing applies. If the VTX was to shut down in update, it would brick as well. Although it takes much less time to flash, you should be aware of that fact. However, the update brings a lot of improvements to Avatar HD. The biggest is the OSD, the full compatibility on all of the VTXs. And there are a number of really good fixes in here, like the OSD flashing, which is really good to see. They've turned on the Wi-Fi now. Okay, great. However, the Wi-Fi is now stuck on all of the time. As I showed in the video today, you can access it with the passcode. The downside is, A, you can't turn it off, B, it's transmitting all the time, and C, it does open up some questions around security. I think they need to add an off button onto this. There isn't an off button at the moment for the Wi-Fi, and that really needs to be there. VGX kernel update can break the thing, but too short update flash times. Yeah, it should flash much quicker, so the risk is lower, but you don't want it to overheat. But they have finally released this new firmware. Now, as I've said, it does seem to address a number of the issues. So they've increased the overheat limit, and they fixed the stuck pixels on boot. But they haven't fixed every issue here. And there are some things that Cadex still haven't addressed on these new goggles. Focus mode still doesn't work at all, as does the zoom out feature. And there are things that are just rolling on and on and on. Now, this update does bring support also for Cadex's new upcoming Moonlight camera. That is as much as I can say on that subject at this moment in time, but that has been added in this update as well. And overall, it does address, it seems, a lot of complaints people have. However, things are not perfect. There are still people reporting different color displays, so the display's behaving differently, and some people reporting overheating on their goggles as well, and just a number of other strange issues. It does seem to have died down with regards to the dead pixels and stuff, which is good news, but some people are still seeing the overheat issues. Now, one of the things people are also noticing is the behavior of the proximity sensor, and that is something that I want to demonstrate next, because you can actually calibrate the proximity sensor on these goggles. Now, this option isn't actually in the main menu. There is a boot up sequence to get this to happen, and that is what I'm going to show you next. So let me just grab that HDMI cable that fell on the floor. We're going to plug that in so you guys can see what I see as well. I'm going to go to the overhead camera a second. Now, on these goggles, to boot them up to calibrate the proximity sensor, you need to hold the joystick in the forward position and then hold it that way until the goggles boot up. So, for instance, what I'm going to do is place the goggles on the side here, hold that forward, the joystick, power them up, and we're just going to wait till the goggles fully boot up. It will take a bit of time. Now, they have added a new boot logo to these goggles now. We're just going to wait a second until I know I'm at the stage where it's there. I'm just going to cover the proximity sensor. So I know it's going to work. Right, so the goggles have now booted up. What I'm going to do is hop over to this other camera. Now, I don't know if I attached the audio on this. I have. So, I'm going to release the joystick now. And what you've seen is this window come up at the top called ADC value. Now, what that is the actual sensor readout value of the proximity sensor. And what it's currently doing is showing us what the value is. So, for instance, if I move my finger closer to the sensor and start covering it, you can see the value is going up. And if I cover the sensor completely, you can see it's gone to 926. And if I take my finger off, it's come up to 550. Now, if I put the goggles towards my face, they're now about an inch from my face. You can see the value is 605, 606. Now, the way you set this is as follows. So let me just come back to the clean a minute. The way you do it is you're setting the point that you want it to switch. So you're not setting the completely open or the completely closed point. You're setting the point of beyond this, the displays will come back on. The other side of this, the displays will go back off. So my advice to you on this is to set it somewhere between 750 and 800. Because if you look, right, if I just go back to these goggles, if I put it there, right, so you can see both of us a second. If I now put him on my face, you can see it should go in a minute. It's a bit slow, the sensor. It's not the greatest. It's 553 off my face. And on my face, 728 today. Yeah, 789, 800 if I press them in. So what you want to do is set it to a point midway between the two numbers. So off your face, 533. On my face, I'm getting 750. I have had 900 before, so it's a bit lower this time, which is quite interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is suggest on mine, we're going to set it to about 650. So I'm going to move them out until I get to 650. There we go, about there. 630, that'll do. And I'm going to click the center button to save that setting. That's gone. And now the proximity sensor is set. So now, if I put them up, it's gone off. You guys can't see that because the display still shows. However, if I put them back on my face, now the displays have come on. Now the displays have come off. So it's as simple as that to set the proximity sensor. Press and hold the joystick forward, power on the goggles and keep it held until it boots, then release, and you will see that menu come up, and you want to set it somewhere between completely open and what it is like when it's on your face, and that should resolve the proximity sensor behavior. Now, one last thing I want to show you on this before I power these down is how to get into the menu manually to turn off the proximity sensor if yours sticks, because I have seen some people stick. So what we're going to do is step through what you need to do to get to the setting blind that you can turn it off, because it's a very handy thing to have. So again, I'm just going to go back to the HD60. So you go 1 press into the menu, 1, 2 across, enter, enter again, left 1, press the setting, press up, press the setting, and the sensor is now off. So that process should help someone who is stuck with their proximity sensor isn't actually working properly. So I just wanted to put that in this. I'm going to slice this up and put it separately. But with regard to that proximity sensor, again, you want to calibrate it so between the 2 points so that you can adjust it. It'll be different for your face mask, your face, your type. If anything, you want it a little bit under, actually. So not necessarily halfway, just a little bit under. So that way, when you bring it up to your face, it works. And I did this testing before the review. It works absolutely fine. It solves all the issues. So if you are having some strange issues with a proximity sensor, that is how you do it. So that is that on these goggles. Now, there's not a lot else I can really show you on these goggles with regards to the update. I did cover it in that video today. I think it's good that Cadex have made some progress. I do have some things I could say on this matter because they have released this firmware as a beta, and you know, releasing a brand new product with beta firmware, really? Really? Is that what we're doing now? Now, I did raise this question on my Discord. I know, look, there's some really good guys who test for them. I have been told one of the comments that Cadex have said, and I don't know if this is true, is that it was released as a beta due to community pressure. Now, let's be honest, there is a lot you could say about releasing a product with beta firmware and you only release the firmware because of community pressure. That's complete and utter BS. And if the bloody product wasn't ready, they should have waited, and they shouldn't have shot their mouth off in advance and told everyone it's coming before it was ready. And not only then, made people wait about a month for the product, half-baked the firmware, sent it out to KOLs with the firmware that didn't work properly, and then proceeded to send us something like 4 updates in the last 4 days before the embargo lifted, where it changed major behaviors of the system that I had to go then back and redo the video. And just to give you an idea on the video and those goggles, I reckon I re-recorded bits of that video 3 or 4 times due to the changes in the firmware. So if you're going to sit there and say, oh, we had to put it out as a beta due to community pressure, I'll say get your finger out of your ass and get it sorted, or don't release the bloody product until it's ready. But I could say that, but yeah. We didn't even know the price of the day before. It changed. Do you remember, Raven? It actually changed. Do you have 2 prices? But yeah, I'm a Cadex shill. What can I tell us about the new cameras at HDZero? I can't tell you anything. The embargo is tomorrow. The embargo is the 18th. So you're going to have to wait till the 18th. There were videos released and then pulled back down. I have not shared my video publicly. The embargo is tomorrow. You're going to have to wait until tomorrow. What I will say is this, and look, okay, we all know there are 2 new cameras coming, okay? I have done a lot of testing on the one of the two. The other one I'll be covering over the next week or two, next couple of weeks, because I can't do everything at once right now. It's been a very, very, very busy period. I'll be talking about both, but I predominantly concentrate on one of the two cameras. And I'll be honest, there's a huge amount to understand. And we don't understand everything, and there is a payoff with the new camera. I've got it in the video tomorrow. You have to wait and see. I don't really know what more I'll be able to do beyond that because I still don't fully understand the situation myself. Cadix shill until you flip them a bird and say, fuck you guys for releasing firmware under pressure. You know, look, Cadix have produced a really good product, okay? Cadix are not... FC and... FX and FC? FX? I don't know what FX is. ADHD approach to Walksnail. Look, Cadix are doing a good job, but it could be better. But what I can't... Look, you got to know, that firmware update has a lot of fixes in. A lot of fixes. A lot of stuff. I have to say, I was quite impressed with how much they've put in there. Cadix's biggest problem, they shoot their mouth out way too early. But Johnny and Nick put up their reviews. Are they still up, is what I would say. Have a look if their reviews are still up. I don't know. Are their reviews for HDZero cameras still up? Let's have a look. But with Goggles X, I would. Oh, yeah, I would absolutely be putting this firmware on the Goggles X. Day one. You need this firmware on them. Absolutely. Day one. Day one, definitely. I think Cadix have a really good product here. I'm still a bit dubious over these overheating issues. I am waiting for someone, and I've just realised something that is going to annoy the hell out of me, and that is I'm not bloody recording, so I'm going to have to strip that bit out on YouTube. Dope. Almac, I didn't see anything blew the socks off. No, look, there is something to understand on Nick pulled his video down. I thought so. So Nick's taken his down, is he? Who was the other one who put theirs up? Sorry. Let me just have a look. Someone said someone else. Johnny 5. Let's have a look. I ain't seen his video. So that's probably gone down. John 5 FPV. If it's this gentleman, which I believe it is. No, not that one. That one. His video is no longer there either. RX and FC. Yes, it is. So receiver and FC and radio and transmitter. Yes. As far as I'm aware, the embargo is tomorrow. And that's everything I've been told, and that's why my video isn't out. So that's all I can say, guys. Look, we know they're coming. For those who've seen the videos, okay, great, you know what's coming already. But the main embargo is tomorrow. There's some stuff to understand in my video. And it's complicated. And it's not going to please everyone with regards to the micro. But we're just going to have to see. So, it will definitely be a subject for next weekend. So it will absolutely be a subject for next weekend. Although, when am I going to stream next weekend? We'll have to think about that. Right, moving on. The next subject. AH4 quad's sake. AOS 5 Version 5 threat frame. I thought Chris Ross knew his stuff, yet there were 5 versions. That's a very interesting comment, and it will lead us on nicely to the AOS 5. So I do have one here, the AOS 5 version 5. This is as far as it's got. It's not built yet. There is a video coming for it to this point. So more I'm doing is giving you an overview of the frame as well, but I did think I would show it to you guys tonight just because I can, because Chris has now put his video up. It does look... It's a very nice frame. There are some big changes here, though. Frame is narrower than the previous AOS versions. Obviously, Chris has got rid of the truss design for the arms. As a result of that, he's had to do some more work on how he gets rid of the vibrations. And we had a long discussion on my Discord about this, and it's sort of... Chris has moved from a design that was designed to minimize vibrations altogether to a design now that minimizes the vibrations that they're getting to the flight controller, and he has his cutout design inside. And yeah, now this is a nice frame. It is a different frame to what Chris has done before. I actually think Chris should make both versions. I don't know if he intends to, but I'd like to see people have the option of both. I love the blue aluminium front end. I think the front camera design is much better. Definitely better now. Solid aluminium front end with inserts that allow you to add in TPU or silicon mounts, which Chris is going to issue with it. It isn't a completely symmetrical frame, so you can see it does stick forward. That's been done to get the props out of view. So there are no props in view. It is shorter at the back. You will need a cable extension for the O3 if you're going to put the O3 in the back. So you've got 20 by 20, 25 by 25, and 30 by 30 mounting patterns. Got front and back available. You've got 2 screws for the aluminium standoffs on the bottom, single screw on the top. I quite like them. I think it's a nice design. I actually like the frame design. I've got no complaints of the design itself overall. You can see if we zoom in, and I don't know if I've got enough light here. I probably need to brighten this camera for this. 1 second. I probably need to jack the ISO. Oh, I said ISO again. ISO. People keep telling me off for saying ISO, not ISO. I don't care. I say it the way I want to. So, let's focus, Panasonic, because I use manual focus. So, that is Chris's cutout design inside there. You can see that is around the flight controller area. So, you got it down there. You got... How thick is the top plate? Can't remember. Let me measure. We'll get to it now. $2 mil. With it. Yeah, 2 mil top plate. Arms are thick. Arms are 6 mil. So they're not thin. They are 6 mil arms. Chris's AOS frames are always wide. That has always been a trait of these frames. You've got quite a few cutouts in this. You've got the XT30 there. You've got another option for one there. Can you install a VTX just behind the camera? You can if you can squeeze it in. So you've got 20, 30, 25.5 and 20 by 20 mount in there as well. There is a bit of space there for it if you wanted to get it in. But it's going to be tight. But you could get that in. You could definitely get an O3 in there. And then you have to push the balance of the thing to the back. Heatsink, Yeah, it's height there, but it's where it's going to go. But look, it's a very nice looking frame. Everyone will have their opinions on it. It is a new design for Chris. So the way it works is, so the arms are sandwiched and locked in between the bottom plate and this, but they then step around that whole vibration area around there. It is a very pretty frame. There is no question on that. The blue on this one is phenomenal. I actually saw the blue before Chris. Chris didn't get the blue, and it does go with his AOS motors as well, which are very, very nice. Look, it is a very nice frame. I don't know how solid it is. Look, I don't think, and I've said this before, I've never really classed any of Chris's frames as out-and-out bashers. The way Chris, I think, talks about it is always the bottom plate thickness on this, just so people know, is 3 mil on the bottom, 2 mil on the top, 3 mil on the bottom. I don't really think they're aimed at out-and-out bashers. Will the 12 centimeter MIPI cable go? The distance you're going to need to the front. So if we go to the overhead, let me just grab a ruler. When I see it, where is it? There it is. Let's grab a ruler. So 12 is going to be too short. 12 is going to be very, very tight. You're going to need the longer cable. You're probably going to want 15 mil minimum. For those who've never seen this, I will show you something. For those who have never seen this magical piece of equipment, this is the Mads Tech ruler, which exists in very limited quantities. What I call the FPV ruler. And if you think that side looks good, let me just drop the brightness down a little bit because it's reflecting. If you think this side looks good, and actually I would need an updated version of this now, because what are those other funny numbers at the bottom? Yeah, I know, 12 inches. But for those who didn't see, when you spin it over to the other side, the pièce de résistance was always this stuff on this side here. Which has Happy Model Receiver pinout, EP1, EP2, Crossfire and Tracer Receiver pinout, HDZero version 2 VTX pinout, DJI version 1 VTX pinout, Carex Vista pinout, DJI FPV System FCC hack located on here as well. ARM STM32 SOT types. We have a camera angle chart. You have stick menus located over here. You have capacitor info about what you should have on your build. And what you probably can't see is, if I go in here, is along it was info all along the bottom, like soldering iron recommended temperatures, a battery's nominal voltage located all the way along the bottom, hidden down there. And then there was other stuff located along the top as well. I literally banged in as much as I could on this when I designed it last year. And then you've got frequencies on this side here. You've got RF conversion chart, frequencies, power levels, power range increase. So 3 dB is 2 times the power, 4 times the power, 2 times the range. This was battery voltages, motor KV stuff, and then there's a wire chart in it as well, which is the actual AWG size of the wires down the side, so you can figure out which ones are what as well. This was a crazy amount of work when I did this. I have some that never actually came out properly. I think I only have about 8 or 10 of these left now. But well, it's actually a PCB ruler, so it's made of PCB. Yeah, it was always. I don't have that many left. I am actually thinking JLB PCB have asked to sponsor this channel a few times, and I've just, look, I'm useless as a YouTuber, so I'll talk about this before we move on. Look, people, I get all sorts of reaches out. I get a reach out? Reach around? No, reach out. I get reached out quite regularly. What's up, FPV? That is a man with one of them in hand. And he has a good. He has a limited edition one that never came out properly as well. I'm useless, right? At getting. I'm moving on from that now. And I get companies reach out all the time, and I just never follow up and stuff like that. But I did see. I have had JLCPCB reach out, and I was tempted to say, hey, if you want to sponsor with a boatload of my rulers, we could be talking. When I did it, I paid for the first batch to be done, and it was a lot of pain and suffering. Huge amount of pain and suffering to get it right, because PCB manufacturers don't like doing stuff like that. You would sell a lot of these if race day quads soaked them. Yeah, it's one of those things every now and again I did. And you think, oh, that I'm really proud of it. Let's just say that it come out very, very well. Did you miss my off-road scooter review? You did. It is on the channel. I should talk about that, I suppose, as well before we move on. Yes, I did the scooter review this week, and that lines it simply because I get a lot of companies reach out, and I'm eating a bar of chocolate while I'm talking, and I turn down 90% of everything I'm offered, but the electric scooter, I was just tempted. Genuinely, it was like, what is one of these like? And I just said yes. Because I can. Don't worry. You're not going to call me Albert Kim. Sorry, Albert. But yeah. I just fancied saying yes. Now and again, it's worth saying yes to something unusual. I'm actually really... biscuit review next. I'll review this bar of chocolate. Let me just take another sample. Yeah, I wanted to do it a bit different, the scooter review. I had an amazing day. Does the ruler have penetration? Super Deluxe, it depends where you shove it, but I don't suggest sideways. And it definitely needs grease. Shilling big scooter. But yeah, look, you get something that every now and again you think, review that big. Yeah, every now and again you just think that's quite interesting. It's genuinely, right, it is nice to step away from your core thing every now and again. It's good for you to do something completely out of the norm, and that is good. It's good to sort of push the boundaries. And look, I'm not a half bad photographer when I get around to it. I'm not a half bad at that stuff and it was like one nice day. It was a phenomenal day. But yeah, but no, there's nothing else. There's nothing here at the moment which is non-drone related. Would I review an electric bike? Possibly. Depends what it was. If I got to keep it and to say exactly what I think. Look, it's really simple. I have a real simple rule. Let I have to be able to say what I think. I don't care about the product, but I have to be able to say what I think. Really simple. My rule on any product is very simple. I will say exactly how it is, and that is it. End of. Non-negotiable. I am not open to any form. Probably the same color that comes out alongside the ruler if it was inserted. I keep telling Stu to get a scooter. Yeah, you know, like I have a real simple rule. I will always say what I think. I don't care what the manufacturer thinks. I have a couple of companies that I have a company that I deal with on a few things out of FPV related and in FPV related. Not like an FPV manufacturer. I deal with some brands through like a brand agent, and I'm beginning to get a little tired of the brand agent, so I might just stop dealing with them. My knees were fine. My knees and back was absolutely fine. I had no pain the next day after that scooter adventure. Honestly, I was absolutely fine. It was actually good. So, thing. Right. Anywho. Now, before we move on, please do give the stream a like. We've got 66 of them at the moment. Oh, Bubble and Squeak. Oh, don't forget some fried eggs. Don't forget some fried eggs with the Bubble and Squeak. 2 fried eggs with the Bubble and Squeak. Oh, such a British thing. Sunday dinner. Finish your Sunday dinner. Smash everything that's left. Not that's been on your plate. Not on your plate. So what's left in everything in the saucepan, smash it all into a bowl. Mash it together. Shove it in a frying pan and cook it with some oil for about 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And then smash 2 fried eggs in a frying pan. Dope it on a plate. 2 pieces of fresh bread covered in butter. There's nothing better. Only the British do stuff like that. Oh, it's just, yeah, you made me hungry now. You made me bloody hungry now. Hey, could opening up the Crossfire protocol lead to other manufacturers making receivers? No. Okay, so on this Crossfire thing, you need to separate off. And this is where the confusion lies. And actually, this all plays very nicely into Pavel's comment on confusion. Right? This is about the protocol that goes between the radio and the module, your receiver, and your flight controller. It has no impact on Crossfire's product, Crossfire's communication, and that being available from other manufacturers. This is just about the communication protocol labeled as CRSF. Not Crossfire, CRSF. It has no bearing on Crossfire itself. Nothing at all. It's just about the internal communication protocol in the radios and the receivers to external devices. And perhaps this is a real point that it does need a name change. I don't know. You know, it is interesting. Spam or spam. Right. Moving on to tonight's next subject. And before after that, we're going to go on to some question and answers. And this is what I'm really pleased about. So I'm going to go... Actually, let's go on this one. For those who don't know... Actually, wait there. That's annoying. There's the chat. For those who don't know, Drone Authority was a brand in the UK that used to sell FPV goods. There's several really good FPV companies in the UK. In fact, you've got Unmanned Tech. You've got Your FPV, who have supported the channel in the past, an incredible dealer. And then you had Drone Authority. Unfortunately, though, Drone Authority went out of business. However, they are back. Their website is up and running, and they're stocking more and more FPV goods all of the time. Now, this is a UK brand. It isn't a European one. However, they are back. They are selling products. They even have the Walksnail goggles in stock. Hobby RC is another brand. Yet forgot about them. I use them now and again myself. And what's really great about this is it isn't by the same people. And for those who don't know, Drone Authority has been brought back by a company called Aerial Exposure. And Aerial Exposure are 3DXR in the UK, who are and have been a massive supporter of this channel. Ben is a fantastic guy. I was talking to him on Friday. Phenomenal individual, huge support of this channel, especially in the early days. Genuinely a great, great guy. And he has now brought back Drone Authority to the FPV world. He is stocking more and more stuff all of the time. It's taken a bit of time to get it up and running. He has said that. He even has things, look at this, Cadex Nebula Pro Vista in stock. Look at that. Nebula Pro cameras. Has he got the Nebula Pro cameras? Walksnail stuff. It's really, really good to see. So, look, if you're in the UK and you want to look for stuff, there are lots of good dealers in the UK. Genuinely, you've got Hobby RC, who I've used a lot over the years. You've got Unmanned Tech, which if it's in stock are a good dealer. You've got Your FPV, Flying Tech, and Drone Authority are back as well. Personally, in my order of things, look, I'd be looking at Your FPV and Drone Authority as two companies I have had support from a lot on this channel. And then I would be looking at the others. Probably try Unmanned Tech last because the chances are it won't be in stock anyway, but it's probably worth a look there if the others don't have it. However, I have to say, it's really, really good to see. I'm pleased they're back, and I wish Ben all the very best with this. And I really do hope it'll be successful. It's a good thing for everyone. Ben is really, really putting a lot into this to get it going. He really is. So I'm really pleased. I really am. Unmanned Tech tend to stock the things you actually need, though. They tend to not have in stock the things that I actually bloody want. Biscuits are under NDA also. Lava bread. Complicated subject is lava bread. Now, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat and I will try and answer them as we move along. There is a bunch of other subjects I have in my head that I am going to talk about tonight after I eat a bar of chocolate. Fried bread. Oh, fried bread. If you do have any questions on anything, put it in. I've been under GoPro NDA for 2 years. Ben is a very, very good guy. Yeah, it's not remotely bred. That is for sure. And you get a lot of it down by me. I live by Larne, which isn't too far. Yes, it's seaweed. And there's a lot of that down where I live. But look, if there's any questions, please do put them in the chat and I'll try and answer them. There's been quite a lot going on in the 3D printing world this week, which we'll touch on in a minute. There's also been some weird stuff I've seen this week as well. Hobby RC is my favorite. Hobby RC are very good. I have to say that. Hobby RC are a very, very good dealer. I don't like the sweets, though. Lost ELRS and Wi-Fi on an AIO board. Is the receiver knackered? It's hard to tell. So if it's not working at all, potentially. But it'd be unusual on an AIO. It would be rather unusual for it to just stop. What I would look for is there a jumper on that board or anything that needs to be soldered and perhaps something's come off or something like that. Some of the boards with the AIOs do have a jumper. It's on a Pavo Pico. Unusual. Is Walksnail's share mode supposed to work on 50 megabits? I can't remember. Does it not limit it to 25? New session coming 2024 and 2023 and 2022 and 2021. Yeah. Bodwell told me just solder another EP1 and AAO and problem solved. Yeah, you could just do that. That's enough of that chocolate. I don't think it does. I'm sure it defaults to 25 megabits. Off the top of my head. Yeah, definitely. Look, soldering another receiver on is the quickest option on a spare UART. So there's a spare UART. For the weight you're adding to a Pavo Pico, you know, an EP1 or something like that, or an EP2, whichever one you want to put on, it's minimal. You wouldn't put it on SPI, you'd put it on a spare UART. It depends which board you've got on the Pavo Pico as well. Have you got the original board or have you got the second board? Because the Pavo Pico, they released a version 2 flight controller. Which is really frustrating. Because every time you buy something, they bloody change it. Right, I can't remember what IAO is in the Pavo Pico. Can anyone remember which one it is? Do they actually say? Here it is, F4. Onboard receiver. Oh, no, it's serial. It's not SPI. It's a serial receiver. Is it SPI? Yeah, it runs through UR3. Yeah, so it's not a serial. Interesting. Is the receiver light flashing up? Isn't there a light on that AIO for the receiver, for the ESP32? I'm sure there was. If the light's dead, it's probably gone. Be unusual for an ExpressRS receiver to die, mind. Have I seen the Beta FPV Super P receiver? I have. I talked about it in my Gemini video, AVI. It's in my Gemini video. I tear it down. It's very good. I talk about that specifically in the Gemini video. Yeah, I tear it down in there. It's as good. My Crossfire only transmits telemetry, no RC channels when it binds. So, what settings are you using? Are you using S-Bus, Crossfire? There are a lot of options on Crossfire that you can set. So, you can set the outputs to S-Bus, you can set them to UART for Crossfire, CRFS support. Again, you would need to set it to CRFS in your receiver and put it on a UART on your flight controller and make sure you properly configure that UART as well. Crossfire shot. Turn off TLM in beta flight and hold the RX bootloader on connect and reflash via pass-through. Someone is making Super D receivers and didn't ask. Now I know how Zorro feels about the Zorro radio. I have 9 aircraft all doing the same. Something's off. You have a setting off somewhere. It sounds like you've got any possible way to talk to Skyzone Daniel to fix the DVR work if you flash the wrong firmware when you flash version 2, when it's a version 3, and they put a sticker on the goggles saying version 2. Hobby Howie FPV, I have sent an email to Daniel at Skyzone 3 weeks ago, and he didn't reply. I'm sorry, that was not about your issue. I sent Skyzone an email asking for a loan, I may add, a loan of the 04X Pro goggles, and they didn't even reply. What can I do? They basically look, as a company communication, they communicated with me a lot when I told them their DVR was faulty, and then they suddenly crept up out of the blue, and then they've just disappeared. They seem to talk to you when they want to and not when they don't. And I'll be honest, based on that, I'd be careful about the products. I like the Skyzone 04Xs. What is interesting is the comments I have seen on the 04X Pros is it's got very good optics, even at that massive field of view, but I haven't tried it for myself. What I'm not doing is spending £600 on a set of analog goggles to tell you about. It's just not worth it. It is just not worth it. Is the Flywheel Explorer worth it? Or shut EI and get the Explorer? I'm not sure what the Flywheel Explorer is like. Which one's the Flywheel Explorer? When trolling becomes truth. 516. Yeah, it's hard to recommend that much. Look, if you're only fine analog, I get it. But it's, you know, there are very limited reviews on the Skyzone 04X Pro. So Dustin put a video out, drone camps. And Albert Kim has put a video out. He bought his, I believe. He's got a very good video on them. Is FPV Yeti. I believe he bought his goggles. And that's it. That is the only videos on those goggles. So they've basically sent them to drone camps and Albert Kim. That's it. I'll let everyone else make their mind up on if that's a good enough review for them or not. You don't, Cool Cat, thank you for that on the Patreon. You don't actually have to pay to join my Discord. You can come onto my Discord for free. You don't have to pay to join. It is free. No, you can join it. There's a dedicated Patreon area where no one talks. But no, you can join the Discord for free. Beta FPV 1 watt. Why'd the backpack Wi-Fi access point not show up? Firmware updated. VRX communicating right. Same issue with TX16 internal backpack Wi-Fi. Are you turning on the backpack? So you've got to turn on the backpack. Remember, the backpack functionality needs to be enabled. It's working on your 04X. Weird. Beta FPV 1 watt. Why the backpack Wi-Fi access point doesn't show up? That's weird. How is Sour Sham? How are you? Yeah, maybe not enough power. You might want to get closer. Some of them need really close because they have really poor antennas. Some transmitters and receivers have really poor antennas. Just on the Skyzone. So look, that's the situation. I'd love to give them a proper review. But I'm not spending $600 on a set of goggles. I'd love to loan a set, genuinely. You know, I love my Skyzone 04Xs. They're a very good goggle, the standard 04X. If they're as good as them, then they're a great goggle. remember on Backpack Mind, have you reflashed the backpack via the USB port? Specifically, because remember, you need to flash backpack separately. Very impressed with the Nebula Pro Nano camera, 14mm. It is a very good camera. The Nebula Pro was a phenomenal camera for the DJI FPV system. It really was. Oh, what are the settings in Ardraplane to configure a launch current sensor on a Cube Orange? I actually have a video on this going back a while, but I do have a video. It's not one I can say off the top of my head. First of all, have you got the settings for launch? They should have, or Mac. I think it's pronounced Mac, actually, not Munch. It's Mac in German. Have you got the little leaflet that gives you the current measured readings for the current sensor? Because you're talking about configuring the current sensor, I assume. No, you've lost them. If you send him an email with your serial number from your device on the back of it, he will provide you the numbers. They log them all at the factory. If you send him an email, he will. You just need to send the serial number off the unit. Just catching down on the chat. Hello, Wes. How are you? Do I have good software to math 3D files? No. Look, I'm really not great with CAD. Believe it or not, I still use 123 Design for all of my CAD stuff that I make on the channel, generally. I'm no good with Tinkercad. I can't use AutoCAD. I can't use whatever the label, FreeCAD. I struggle with all of them. I use 123 Design. I can't use Fusion 360 either. I just can't get my head around these other bloody programs. 123 Design for me was brilliant. Genuinely, for those who remember 123 Design, it was just good enough. I could do almost everything I ever want to do in 123 Design, and they stopped using it. Now, I've got a really old version that still works even on Windows 10. I just don't have the inclination to spend time learning in another CAD program. And what really annoys me, what really frustrates me, is you download all of these programs and other than sticking a box on a page, it does look a lot like Tinkercad, but they don't behave the same. And it's little stuff that trips you up. 123 Design for me, I can do almost everything. All of the other cards I've just struggled with. I genuinely have completely struggled with them. I need a proper online CAD course, to be honest, and I can't be bothered. So I still use 123 Design. I made my brackets. I can modify STLs in them. I can do pretty much everything I need to do in 123 Design. It's just, what's really frustrating, I'm stuck in SolidWorks. It's just really frustrating that companies, like, they got rid of it. One shape is mostly what I use, good for modifying, no good for modifying STL. So, yeah. I had a look at Blender the other day. That blew my mind. It was... the slicers are getting better for basic stuff. You can do a lot of basic stuff in slicers now. But I struggle with Tinkercad, FreeCAD. The closest thing to 123 Design should be the replacement. Because 123 Design was by who? Let's have a look. Look, I even keep 123 Design here, right? It's on my desktop. So it's Autodesk. So it should be similar to AutoCAD. let's be honest, it shouldn't be dramatically different to AutoCAD, yet it is. But this software for me is just really simple. So if I want to create a bracket for something, I'll put a box there, and you think, okay, I want to create an L bracket. So you know what? I'll put another, let's put another box on top of that. And then you sort of think, right, what I want to do is bring that forward 2 mil, bring that down there 2 mil. And then I can do things like, okay, let's do a subtract. So we're going to remove that from that, which is going to take a second because it always does. There we go. And I can create an L bracket like that. And then I can think, you know what, but I want that smooth because I like it filleted. So we can do stuff like that. And then I might think, you know what, I want to put a hole through somewhere by there. So I'm going to go above and then putting that down there. But before we do that, you think, you know what, that's not enough. What I'm going to do is extract that because I need a bit more on it, and then I want a hole by there, and about there, and then you think, well, what I want to do then is measure across. So I'm going to start in the corner, put that down at that point there at 180, and then I want that at say 7 mil, and I can just then draw it out, and I can do all of this stuff. But I just can't get my head around any of the CAD programs. I just cannot get my head around anything else. To force CAD education. I just cannot. Autodesk Inventor I use, but it's £318 a month. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And AutoCAD, and they are almost incompatible. That's incredible. The boat is coming along. Love Fusion 360. I got used to this over the years, and I'm just able to do everything I need in 123 Design. I just can. And it just really drives me nuts that Autodesk didn't do something like, which has everything you'll find in this, but with more. So you look at it and go, I've come from 123 Design. Show me everything else. And I thought AutoCAD would have been that. Yeah, it's a very good point of view. They've been using it a very long time. Yeah, perhaps I should do an AutoCAD course. Genuinely, perhaps I should do an AutoCAD course. What is the price of AutoCAD these days? Is there a free version? I got Fusion 360 on here. The only downside to this app, right, is it crashes when you close it every time now. High Fly FPV, how are you? Fly High FPV, sorry, not High Fly FPV. What's the pricing of AutoCAD these days? Is it free? Fusion 360. I got Fusion 360, which I just can't get my head around. Free trial. Oh, right, okay. Jesus, you don't want to pay for AutoCAD. I got Fusion 360 on here. But it just, when I started to use it the other day, it just didn't, it made a little bit of sense. What I probably need to do is push on with Fusion 360. Probably what I should do is push on with Fusion 360. Sort of makes sense. I've tried OneShape, okay. You can pirate AutoCAD. Tinkercad for light work. But it's like, so I'm in here now, like, and it's all of this shit up here that annoys me. So it's like assemble, construct, inspect. So if I wanted to do what I just did on that, so like I want a solid. What's this one now? So type profile. Oh, what's all this crap? I don't understand. See, there's too much here. There's already too much. I don't know what any of this means. It's asking me stuff that I don't mean. It's already at the point of annoying me. See? That's why I give up. I use Sharp 3D. Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot of CAD programs out there. There is a lot of CAD programs out there. And it's closed. OneShape. I'll have to have a look at OneShape. Tinkercad is okay. I tried Tinker. If we got a Tinkercad. I actually think I made the FPV ruler in Tinkercad. I can't remember. I actually think the FPV ruler is made in Tinkercad, but I can't remember. We need to check. No, it's not. The FPV ruler was made in the other one. So I'm in Tinkercad now. Tinkercad is a bit... It was a bit simpler, was Tinkercad. Tinkercad wasn't terrible. So look, I can lay a box down. Boom. We've got a square. But where I sort of then struggled is, okay, so if I wanted to bevel the edge, and I get this, we can make it taller, we can make it shorter. All of this I quite liked. But it's like, now, right, I want to bevel the edge. How do I bevel? Look, I'm looking at things here going, right, so how do I, if I want to bevel that edge, and I'm right-clicking, there's no right-click. So I can't do that. There's all of this crap down here, which doesn't make sense. What's this do? Oh, right, okay. So you've got a slider which bevels all of the edges, but I don't want to bevel all of the edges. I want to bevel one edge. I don't want to turn it into a box like that. That's all quite cool. I get that, but I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to achieve. So again, it's frustrating when you can't do the things you want to do, like I was very quick and able to do in the other one. You know, use the align. Where's the align tool? Is it if we just come back a minute to a box? Where's the align tool? Is ruler, notes. Is there an align tool? How to bevel edges in Tinkercad. Someone showed it there. But you know what I mean? It doesn't like what you type in. Well, that's ominous. Add as a moderator. A super deluxe. So this is my point. Anything where I spend time going, this doesn't work for me, means I end up just going straight back. It's just really different kind of thinking. You always have to think about drawings of sketches. Sketch a rectangle, then extrude it. Yeah, I do that in 123 Design all the time. But then I just want to be able to sort of right-click and do something and then go, right, I want to do that or I want to do that. What 123 Design got really right, is the simplicity of ease of use. 123 Design by far made it just so much easier to do. You know, if I open up 123 quickly again, right, because I crashed it, and you just think, okay, I want to start a new project. I want to create a box so I can draw a box. Let's start there. I'm not going above. I could have done it. So you go, okay, I want a square like that. And then we're going to come off that. And you go, you know what? What we're going to do with that is we're going to go up to here. And we're going to extrude that square, which is all nice. And you think, you know what? I want that edge there beveled. That one I'm going to click on. And I'm going to fillet that edge because I want that like that. And I also want it smooth around that side there, and that side there, and that side there, and that side there. And we're going to fillet them as well because we want to. But I don't want the back one filleted. I want the back one as it was. And actually, if I don't like that one, wait a minute, let's bring that back here. And if I don't like what I've done on that one, it's okay. What I can do is take that one off and then have it like that, or take that one off and square it back up. Oh, I'm doing this and you guys can't see. My God. There. I'm trying to show you something which I'm not doing. Right. Idiot that I am. So, to do that again. So, on 1, 2, 3 design. Ready? So we think, you know what? I'm going to draw a box. So, keep it simple. We're going to draw that box. And you think, you know what? I want to extrude that box. So I don't want to do that. We're going to extrude that into a square, and I want it, say, 12 mil high. And then you think, you know what? I want to bevel that edge, that specific edge there, and that edge there beveled in. So we're going to fillet that and then bring that in just like that. But you know what? I'm going to bring that one in as well, which I can do, which adjusts it because I want it like that. And then you think, you know what? What I am going to do as well is make it a little bit shorter. So I'm going to press and pull, bring that back a little bit to there, adjust it. And then you think, you know what? I want to bevel that one. You think, you know what? I made a mistake there. I don't want that one beveled. Let's take that back off and let's put it back there and then take that one back off. And then that just leaves this side here beveled how I want it. So again, I can just click and do stuff. Yeah, I haven't found anything else that really just works for me. That's just like Fusion 360 if you ignore all the additional controls in the tool panel option. Interesting. It just didn't feel the same. Okay, we have a super chat from Super Deluxe. FPV B&B is now operational in Humboldt, California. Book your next epic adventure, HMU. I have no idea what that means, but thank you for the $5 super chat, Super Deluxe. Different button presses. Yeah, I don't mind different button presses. Thank you for the super chat. Hit you up. He wants you to slap him up. What's the best 3D printer for £300? Depends on size. I think one of the easiest today is the Bamboo A1 if you're happy with the small bed size. I'm really overall pleased with the A1 Mini. You've got the new A1, which has just released as well. And there is a new Creality K1 on the horizon, a K1C. I actually have one en route, I believe, to take a look at. But yeah, the A1 is a very good printer. The A1 Mini, I should say. I'm really impressed with the A1 Mini. The A1 Mini, just like I've done 90% of my printing on the A1 Mini. Now, I don't need the size, although I couldn't print the brackets for that quad down there the other day on the X1. I had to print that on the X1, but the A1 is a really good printer. The A1 Mini, I haven't tried the A1, but I'm expecting it to be as good. It is interesting. There's a lot of really good cheap printers out there at the moment, to be honest. There really are a lot of good cheap printers, but I do like the Bamboos. They generally just work. Look, there's always quirks with 3D printing. Nothing is perfect. Temperatures, environments, different bloody filaments. How quiet is the A1? Look, the loudest part is the fan. If you slow the fans down, it's very, very quiet. The printing mechanism is very, very quiet. What you hear is the cooling fans, because for speed, they jack up the cooling. So if you slow them down, you can slow the cooling fans, they do become a lot quieter. I've heard bad violences against open source stuff regarding Bamboo. Look, okay, there's a lot of hearsay. 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 The and BS around the bamboos. Okay, so the bamboos are a closed ecosystem. However, there is zero proof that there is any open source software in the bamboo printers. Zero. No one has ever shown that there is any form of open source. There are people looking right now. Trust me, there is a very deep and hidden hacking community around the bamboo printers. It's not widespread known. It's not out there shouting and screaming. But there are a number of very, very dangerous people looking into the Bamboo Labs printers, and still nothing has been published to say there is anything there. These are the kind of people who would run and scream with a document saying how bad this company is. So as of today, there isn't anything out there. Well, it wasn't widely known. There is also a lot more stuff coming for the bamboos. For those who don't know, and this is actually ridiculously cool, you have E3D who have just made a hot end, fully licensed by Bamboo for their printer. Let me just close this CAD program because it's going to crash. Do you have to use their filament? No. Is there advantages to using their filaments? Yes. So, all of the Bamboo printers, I'm going to have to Control or delete. Oh, it's closing now. The only problem with this bloody 123 design is it crashes on exit. It never exits well. So E3D have just released their new hot ends for the Bamboo Labs printers, which is fantastic to see. They are officially licensed. They're not aftermarket. They have high flow obsidian or hot ends for the Bamboo Labs X1 and P1 series, which is really good to see. Bamboo are fully supporting this, and they're fully available as well in the marketplace. So you now have third parties working with Bamboo as well, which is great to see, and I hope to see this expand. Hopefully it won't be the only company. But you can use any filaments in the Bamboo printers. What the Bamboo printer filaments give you is sort of plug and play. So the Bamboo printer, when you put a filament in, it will detect what that filament is. And then it will give you all of the settings that Bamboo have in the background for that filament. If you put a Bamboo Lab filament in that doesn't have the NFC, you can just select it manually, or you can put any other third-party filament in that you choose and select it manually. You can select generic filaments, you can select whatever you want. It's just worth noting the generics may need some tuning. The printer is designed to be somewhat plug and play completely with the Bamboo filaments. If you use a third-party filament, you may need to tune it. That's just how it is. That's the reality of anything. It will do the auto flow control stuff on any filament you put in. There's no limitations on that, but you have to maybe tweak the filaments. Like, for instance, I find all of the Bamboo printers are too hot on the generic filament TPU profile. They print the TPU way too hot for especially SaneSmart Black. SaneSmart Black is just, it wants another 10, 20 degrees off the temps in my testing. You just want to cool it right down and add retraction. There isn't, though, SaneSmart profiles for the Bamboo printers, which is a bit annoying. I wish SaneSmart would actually release some profiles for the printers. I don't think they have they? Let's just check that. I could be being an idiot, and SaneSmart may have released filament profiles for those printers. Yeah, they're printing at like 240, 250. That's the problem. They're printing them a little bit too hot on the SaneSmarts. But on the Bamboo TPU, it's fine. I do love my X1C. So far, prints of default settings. Yeah, generally, you just don't have to touch it. But you just got to remember, like, what's a classic is silks. Silks really tend to throw most printers. Yes, it does. 123 Design is offline. You can save all of your files offline. You can still do it in 123 Design. You just select Save Locally. Is there any printers with carbon? I know it needs a lot of heat. You can't just straight print carbon. These will print the carbon composite filaments, but you can't straight print carbon. Now, if I look at the Sane Smart, silks are a real killer. Most printers struggle with silks. Silks just behave completely differently to general PLA. A standard PLA and a PLA silk, it will just behave completely different. But the bamboo profiles will just go in. What I like about the bamboo printers is 99% of what I get off them is perfect. I love the fact you just don't have to mess with it. You put it on, you set it, it goes. If you stick to the bamboo filament, you got nothing. Generally, it's not really going to go wrong. If you go to more third parties, most will be fine, but there's some real crap filament out there. But look, the Quiddy, I've got the Quiddy X Max 3 over there. That's a very good printer if you dial it in, but you've still got to do manual bed leveling. Lightweight PLA, very interesting filament from bamboo. Super interesting. What do I use to dry my filaments? I generally don't dry my filaments, and that's a part of my problem. I can never be asked to wait for filaments to dry. I have 3 filament dryers in here, but the problem is I don't have enough filament dryers to keep every spool that I have. Oh, Curry Kitten, OpenIPC. I'm going to finish this stream on OpenIPC. And my God, is that going to upset some people. But I will. I haven't done it yet, Curry Kitten. Did I say kitchen again? Sorry, mate. I was watching your video yesterday. Yeah, look, I've got 2 Creality K1s, which are okay, very good, but they do tend to play up a bit. I tend to find, though, the bamboos just work the most. I tend to not dry much. The only thing you really need to dry is the very hygroscopic filaments. You know, PLA's hygroscopic, ABS, obviously. PETG is a bit especially, but the real ones are the carbon fiber versions. You really need to dry them. You just really need to dry them. Right, before I finish up on my rant and get myself into a world of trouble, and I'm talking about a world of trouble, because I am, this ain't going to be pretty. If you've got any questions, put them in. Very good big printers that are reasonably priced. About the biggest is the Quiddy X Max 3 I've used. I've not used anything bigger. There was a super chat before I move on. There was one from Slinky FPV, $5. Can I do a quick recap? No, you're going to have to go back. I'm sorry, you've paid as well. Quick recap. Goggles X new firmware is very good, but not everything's fixed. HDZero video tomorrow. CRFS protocol hopefully becoming open source. Yeah, I'm going to struggle to do anything else. Right. OpenIPC. Now, OpenIPC is a project that is designed to allow you to install open source software on specific types of hardware that isn't open source, and they've managed to basically replace the code on the cameras and various other devices. The project has a lot of interesting potential. However, as far as I am concerned, and this is my personal opinion at this moment in time, it is a complete crap show that is just not worth the bag of pain that it comes with to set up. What I have seen of it so far is interesting, but it is not a viable FPV solution. It is not even worth the fucking 10 hours of pain you will go through trying to install the bloody software when the documentation is crap, it isn't correct, there are bits and steps missing, and the hardware is constantly evolving. Now, the project, let me be clear, has some real interesting potential, but until they get it together and get the setup docs and everything in one situation, it's a shit show of biblical proportions. There are people out there peddling this as the next greatest thing in FPV. It is not. If you value living your life, just go and buy bloody Avatar HD and go and use it, because the time you will spend faffing around with this system out the box is just ridiculous. Now, I have successfully flashed the NVR and it is working perfectly, beautifully in fact. I successfully flashed my first camera. That was absolutely fine, although I couldn't get them to talk, and that turns out that was an issue, that you need to transfer the keys from the camera to the ground station, yet it was barely mentioned in any of the documentation. Then there was an incident with my camera, which was my fault. Under no circumstances am I going to blame anyone else. It is my fault. I set the first camera alight on the bench because I was bench testing and there was wires everywhere and it basically shorted the regulator. I ordered the next same bloody camera again, right? Identical, and what turns up? Something completely different. Different chipset, virtually the same one. Rather than it being the V200, it's the V210, and I cannot get this camera to play ball. I swapped the flash from the first camera onto the new one, and I mean hot air soldered, lifted the flash off the board, put it onto the new one, then realized they have two different flash sizes. The original board came with an 8 meg flash, the new board comes with a 16 meg flash. There isn't a 16 meg flash target on OpenIPC for the FPV system. The documentation is just not good enough. Now, everyone I have spoke to on there... No, let me rephrase that. Most of the people who I've spoken to on their Telegram have been amazing. They are trying to help anyone and everyone they can. But until there is a serious effort to package this in a way that a normal user can use, it's just vaporware at this point. And that's without it even working. Right? Now, I get the impression, and I could be wrong on this, that the dev team overall doesn't have the interest in creating a simple front-end, easy-to-use product. Take Express ELRS. You can develop an open source system, but if it only takes Linux geniuses to use it, and I am shocking with Linux, Jonas will tell you, I am not a software guy with regards to coding. I'm not experienced in it. I can do loads of stuff, but I am not someone who is massively au fait. I fumble around. The very fact that I was able to flash one camera and the unit says a lot, because that isn't an easy task. But for the regular user, it's just a crap show. And don't believe the hype. Don't believe all this talk of 120 frames a second FPV system. It's not a bloody FPV system. It is a proof of concept and nothing more. And until I see a bloody executable that I can download where I select the camera or chipset and I can install it, it is nothing more. You are having to take hardware that was never designed to do what it is and put it together in a way that may or may not work. I cannot get this new camera to flash. I've gone through the whole process. It just won't do it. It sporadically boots, then it doesn't, then it boots, then it doesn't, then it boots, then it doesn't, then Control-C doesn't break the bloody kick into the kernel when it should do, because what you have on these cameras is like a bootloader mode where you've got to kick them out of the kernel boot first of all. And look, Curry Kitten is an incredible guy who managed to get his working. You watch his video, right? That is a guy who knows his stuff, and look at the pain he went through to get it working. His video summed it all up for me. I spent nearly 7 hours Saturday on this other fucking camera, and I gave up. I am ready to set it on fire, and I'm bloody annoyed. I'm bloody annoyed, and I'm bloody frustrated that this system is being sold online, and I don't mean sold as in you can buy it, but there are videos portraying this online as great 120 frames a second FPV system. The NVR doesn't even support 120 frames a second. So all of this talk of you can do 120, well, you can, but you can't with the NVR. So you can't do it into goggles easily, and you need to do it into a PC. There is so much smoke and mirrors around this, it's ridiculous. If this project wants to be serious in FPV, it's really simple. We need the documentation sorted out, and I know that takes effort and time. There are people who will help. Hell, I'll help write it. I wrote most of the half of the documentation on CubePilot when it first came out. I'm more than happy to put documentation together. But the system, there's just nothing about it that lines, and there are bits missing. There are bits that you just don't know. And then someone goes, oh, have you done this? And you're going, no, I've not done this because I didn't know I had to bloody do this. Now, I have to say there are some incredible, helpful members on the Telegram group. So if you want to go and give yourself pain and suffering, they are there and they will help you. What I'm not seeing from the dev team is a real concise effort to create this into a user project. I think my general opinion is that they're more than happy this is difficult to do, and that's probably how it's going to stay. Because right now, there's all this talk of dedicated hardware. This don't need dedicated hardware, right? What this needs is an app, a very simple app that allows you to select the camera chipset you've got and then flash it. Just go, okay, select this camera, do this, plug it in, plug it out, or do this, and then that'll flash that. And then select this on the NVR. There's all this talk of custom boards and cameras. Look, we're not even at that stage yet. Get the bloody software in order before the hardware. The hardware doesn't need it. We don't need the hardware. The hardware's out there. Sort the software out before the rest of it. Curry has said he did get a ping from the leader of that project. He's told me that there's a lot more docs in Russian that haven't been translated. Of course, the main project has no interest in FPV. Yes, and that's the problem. And look, I'll be honest. I think most of my criticism here isn't about the project. The project is what it is. It's not great, and it's very difficult as a point of entry. Okay? I think what's frustrating is the way this is being sold. This is being sold as, hey, you can get an FPV system for 80 quid. Yeah, 80 quid, 10 and 11 hours of your time. And I don't know how much your hourly rate is, but I can tell you now, my hourly rate will put that into well over the cost of another digital FPV system. I'm not saying it has to be perfect. I'm not saying it has to be thing. But expecting me to spend hours and hours effing with bloody Linux code, I don't care. It's just, as a pet project, I think it's interesting. Is it a viable FPV system? No. Will it ever be? If you want my opinion, no. But let's wait and see. I still fundamentally don't believe the direction is right with the off-the-shelf hardware. I still don't think... Lon, I just read Lon. I'm not even reading that out, but you've made me laugh. And Curry is absolutely right. And if you don't know, and I've not watched this video yet, let's highlight this. The guys this week, the guys from OpenHD did an interview this week. Let me find it. It'll be down here somewhere. I've forgotten the name of the channel off the top of my head. Curry, you're going to have to put it... Let's drone out. Sorry, I couldn't LDO. I had LDO in my head. I just couldn't think what LDO stood for. I was thinking LDO. For those who don't know, LDO, Let's Drone Out, which Curry's on regularly. They did a live this week, and the special guest on that was one of the main guys from OpenHD, which is Thomas, and he was talking about the custom hardware. I have not watched this yet. It's on my list to do this week. I'm really looking forward to it though. With Stephen and the guys and Curry Kitten, obviously. And there's a good interview, I believe. The people on my Discord were talking about it, and it sounds very, very interesting. I'm hoping to have a chat with the OpenHD guys myself very shortly. We just haven't had a chance to get it together yet. But it was really good to see them on here. Things look like they're progressing well. They've got their custom hardware. But what they're not doing is going online saying, hey, we've got an FPV system that is 120 frames a second that you can get for this. You know, look, you gotta walk before you can run. And these guys appear to be doing it the right way. Genuinely, you guys cannot comprehend how off I am. I really am. With the BS and the nonsense around OpenIPC right now. It's just... Look, I really hope as a project it gets itself together and it delivers something. It'll be good enough for wing use, you know. But look, guys, it's Avatar HD is available, as is HDZero, for about $240. Here's a question. Here's a real interesting question before we finish it up, and I want people to ask themselves, what is the benefits of an OpenHD system? It's not price. You're not going to beat that in price, right? This whole $90, $70 is BS, right? It's not going to happen. Yes, the pap, I can't quite see his name. The papabo. The fun fact is not IPC making the claims. It's the person who I don't want to name was doing the same with OpenHD. However, he is a member of the dev team. Open source is a benefit if the devs are good. Yeah, and look, I get the impression. I don't know. Look, I am so frustrated. I am just so frustrated. I am literally, it's just driven me much. The Mavlink pass-through is appealing, competes with HueLink, potentially, but the Chillock. It's just, I'm not giving up. I'm just not touching it for another couple of weeks or I will burn it. Look, I have to say the NVR so far looks solid. I've got to try and figure out what the fuck I do with this camera. I don't know if this camera is going to behave. Do I order another one? I ordered exactly the same camera I ordered the first time from the same dealer. I literally just went reorder and send, yet I get a different camera. And that's bloody frustrating as well. So again, you're battling this constant problem of hardware and all of this changing. But look, a better man than me figured it out, and that better man is Curry Kitten. So if you're interested in seeing his progress on it, please do check out his channel. For those who haven't seen, the man has succeeded where I have failed. Better man than me by a long way. And if you want to see some of his pain, he has an hour and 14-minute video on it. I'm done. Right, I want to thank you all. It's literally pushed me to the edge. I want to thank you all for spending some time with me tonight. I want to thank everyone for all of the super chats. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who spends some time with me on a Sunday night. There's an amazing amount of you here once again. Stay safe, look after yourself. We will be back not the same time, same place next week, because the same time, same place next week is that Christmas Eve. Do we do one on Christmas Eve? I might do it Saturday night instead. Saturday night instead, shall we? Let's figure it out. I'll figure it out in the week, and I'll put a community message on the thing. But we will do one next week. Stay safe. Look after yourself. Au revoir. Shemai butt. Goodbye.